Are we on? We're on. Right, give me 2 seconds. Just an usual, click the live button, not quite ready yet. I see why loads of streamers have those like, ooh, things up for ages while they sort out all the bump in the background. I'm not that prepared. Hey, live, right, there we go. Let's turn the volume off on that. Let's pop the chat out. Pop out chat. Put that there, so if I put that there, it looks like I'm looking at you when I'm talking. That's cool. That chat open. All being well. Where are we? I forgot what I'm doing now. That was it. Copying that. Letting the peeps know. Okay, I've changed the music back to the Cody one as well, by the way. So much better than a random. Where are we? Promo. Let's ping me while I'm setting all this up. Soundboard's boring. Right. I bet that made weird noises. Right, folks, what we are at now is part 2 of this series, which is cabinet rescue. As we investigated last week, the cabinet is not junk, which is fantastic. I was worried that it was going to be a pile of tat, and that would have wasted 80 quid. But the reality is, this thing is actually quite good. What I'm quickly doing now is, that was wired up after it was passed through there, so I want to get rid of that bit of MDF. Don't want to drag it around. Yo, people that just joined stream, good to see you. Join the dark side. May the forks be with you too. It's actually my daughter and my future daughter-in-law's birthday today. Both on Star Wars Day. That was the greeting I sent them. May the forks be with you. Reference to this Homer Simpson episode with Mark Hamill. Use the forks, Homer. It's like, no, the forks. Come on. Right, plug off. Pop the lid back on so I don't lose any bits. Put that in the stream. There you go. Plugs off. Whee. Yeah, so as you can see, they're wired up afterwards, so I couldn't take that off. So, if you weren't here last week, this cabinet was it was £400 in CX, which is our, I think you've got CX everywhere, don't you? I think they've got them in this Australia, States. But either way, I think GameStop. So it's an old cabinet. Not an old cabinet, sorry. It's a cabinet that's £400. It's in the window for a few weeks. Probably where it got a lot of the sun damage that it's got. It looks like whoever they got to do the vinyl stuff didn't do a great job of that. Oh, we could. Yeah, so it got some sun damage. The vinyl's faded. It is not official in any means. It's running a Pandora 6, which is okay. If I had to choose an emulator, I wouldn't choose the Pandora 6 board. However, here's me putting the plug away. I should just put the plug back on. However, part of this series, swallow them round. Yeah, so part of this series, now that it's a rebuild, is going to be choosing what is going to run the emulation on it. But whatever choice I make, I have to make a change to it. The Pandora 6 has direct chip controls, and they are hardwired into the Pandora board. So what I want to do is I'm going to convert the controls, because they're decent. I do have another kit for controllers, buttons and joypads. It's been in a drawer for a while, and technology had advanced just a little bit more than that. So what I've done is I've bought 2 new boards. I'll put them up in a second what I bought. Yes, I shall put them up in a second. And I'm going to convert the controllers to USB. So each player will have its own USB board. The benefit of that is, one, they're called zero response. Hello, no people. Yeah, zero response USB boards, bought on Amazon. And they will work with the PC, they will work with the Raspberry Pi, and they should work with the Pandora board. So if I convert to that, I've got lots and lots of choices. Beauty of that is I can do another series examining what's the best. Hey, my lads here. Yeah, so I can do another series explaining what the best emulator to put in this thing is. So we're going to be running a Retro Pi, which is a Raspberry Pi with an emulator on it. And we're going to be also running RetroArch, which is the PC version of RetroPie. And the beauty of a PC-based system is that we can run a lot faster games. PlayStation, PS2 even. Because, like most people my age, I actually have a loft full of games. But we also have, I had a loft full of water at a point, so I lost a lot of stuff. It will even, I think it'll even do basic Amiga stuff as well on the PC. I've had some joy in the past. Did you with a RetroArch? Put the wrong screw in there. Yeah, I don't think I'll be trying to run PS3. I think that's pushing it a bit for the PC hardware. I know, in theory, you should be able to. But I know on the I've got some very basic PlayStation games working on the arcade I built. Right. I wasn't going to wire the plug back up on this thing, but thinking about it, I may as well, because at some point I'm going to plug it in to get it all to light up again. You and your blooming, I forgot the word for it now, picker. Eating of inanimate objects. Right, so, I need to get into this thing. Let me swap the screens. Yeah, everything's hidden behind here. There are 2 screws poking through, so I suspect that will come out on its own. I am going to check out this new effect. Whoosh! Hand cam. Right, I'm going to pop this inside the cabinet, so hopefully you guys can see what's going on. Everything's a bit wibbly wobbly, apologies about that. Okay. So at the moment it's just a bundle of wires on the screen for you. Ow! Ow! My hip just gave way. Problems of being old. But I'm going to be taking these screws out and hoping that it's on a hinge. If it's not on a hinge, I'll be putting it on a hinge. And also taking a couple of screws out to access the buttons I don't like. So the good chances are I fill these holes, put a hinge at the front, and inside just do some little latch bolts so I can just open them. Or possibly even a little RFID lock on it. Because you get some little self-contained jobbies. So you just scan somewhere up here and it unlocks. And let's see. There's definitely some movement there. Aha! Just caught on the green stuff. I think. Oh no. Inconveniently there's a chop block in there. So let's get in to get that. Nice long screwdriver. Fortunately there's cables everywhere. So whoever built this did not think about access for maintenance. I think about access for maintenance because I've spent too long trying to get into spaces like this and I hate it. Sorry about moving the camera around too much. Alright, I can just get the cable in. Yes, I'm pulling funny faces. Best faces I do. Get the cable and get the tip of the screwdriver in. And it's turning half a turn every time I do that. Hey, there we go. Right. Hey. So, perspex for the front screen's come off. It's not glued in at all. I have a cutting plan when it comes to the decals, which I'm going to cover at the end. Not the end today, the end of the series. So, what we have, a series of micro switches. Let me get the hand cam. Yes. So it's a proper spaghetti junction behind here. Alright, cool. Enjoy yourself then, Colt. Don't fall off the top of the O2. Nice transition. You haven't seen the cool transition. Watch this. Hey, check that out. Right, yeah. So, these are actually decent buttons. Got proper good chunky micro switches on them. Often they can be a bit flimsical. There's some nice solid clicks on them. I don't know if you can see. So pretty much what old joysticks of old were made of. Let's pick a one. I'm going to suggest that they've also got the LEDs built. Is that the LEDs to the side of them? Can't trust the wiring actually. Let's see if we can put this up here. Yeah, that kind of works, doesn't it? So we can get that to stay. Let's do that. Gaffer tape, it solves all problems. Strip of gaffer tape on the camera that I'm putting up. Electronic jump scare, yeah, sorry about that. Not too worried about that decal because that's coming off. There's quite a delay on this webcam, that's weird. Okay, yeah, so as said, we actually have decent micro switches on here. Good micro switch based joysticks as well, which is good. I need to look at one of these to figure out what's going on. So they do have lights in them. I'm going to suspect that central core there for each one is the trigger, which goes back to the Pandora 6. So each one of these just have one wire, single wire. Let me show you what I'm going to be replacing that with. Now we've got things like this as well. So there are issues. This is the power to turn the Pandora 6 on and off. It's just wedged in there. That's not good. So there will be a full rewire of the entire cabinet. I've not done too bad a job when it comes to sorting these out. The lights seem to be on the side. So each side of each micro switch is the LED. This is a common earth, which is also the same earth I've used for the lights. However, I won't need those. They don't need to be connected here, for example, for me. They need to be connected for the LEDs, but not for the switch. Let me just come on to this one. Just answering some messages. Right, what was I doing? That's what we're going to replace them with. I've got two of them, left and a right. As you can see, USB controller board. I do need to get the pin outs though. I must admit I forgot to get the pin outs. They're written on the back actually, so I'll probably just take a photo of that to show you on camera. Is it zoom? Is it in focus? It's not in focus, is it? Let's try. Oh. And that's also not in focus. Oh, let's try. There we go. Let me screenshot that. So let me take a photo. It is quite cool. It's you caught it last week. Emperor miniature. It's the cabinet I bought that was supposedly broken. Going back to Batman cam. Whoosh. For some reason they're trying to print now. Set the shortcut was Control Shift P. That wasn't very bright of me. 5 volts. I think I'm going to power the buttons, you know the LEDs that I've been talking about. I'm going to power them separately. Yes, I am going to power them separately. Let's just detach this one so I can show you the simpleness of it all. So I'm just detaching that one. So what comes with this case is a USB lead, the old style, and a pile of cables. Where am I typing? Do you know when you start typing and then you realise that you're not actually typing in any box you're thinking about? Sorry, I've also got a million things on at once. Space, I can't add a donation. This channel's not monetized. I could on the other channel, but to be honest, I'll just keep that gaming. That's just gaming. Right. So anyway, as I was saying, what currently happens now is the earth, that's the common for all of these, which goes along all of these at the moment, is shared for all those, and that's the actual trigger pin. With this board, just a simple one of these. I have just noticed that these are far too small to just slot onto there. That's going to be a bit of a pain. That's going to be a ball ache. I'm going to... Do I go the route of hard soldering them on, or do I just buy myself a crimper and crimp the ends on these? But what we'll end up with is under each one of these, or just the side of each one of these, because it's got to reach as well, so that's going to be a bit of a pain as well. Put one there for example, but I can't put the other one there. Yeah, well, this was supposedly £400, but I bought it broken. Okie dokie. So, if I was to put that under here, for example, that gives me enough space for a board under there. So one can go under there, and one can go this way. My plan is I'm going to put a hinge here, a hinge down on top of the cabinet. Like I say, have something inside that just locks across to keep it closed, but if I want to get in there to mess around with it, either have a sprung lock with a tiny hole on the side. Oh yeah, so it's only a pin poking through, which, not a pin. I'll think of something to make a cool catch for this. I'll fix this one up then, yeah. There's nothing overly complicated about these things. It looks scary, there's a ton of wires everywhere. And I mean, I can just pull them all out, because we'll just put them on where we want them. Don't need to be scared of things like this. So they've pretty much used mains wire as the common for everything, which is probably a bit overkill, considering some of the other wires they've used. This is massively overkill. you don't need 16 amp wire to be a common ground. Ooh, it doesn't want to come off there. I think we'll have to cut it anyway. We'll just cut the common. So that's the common for all the switches. Okay, so moving all of these here off the Pandora, so they're the ones that currently control the emulator. As I say, I'm converting them to RGB, USB, so I'm not too worried about those at all. There for the LEDs. So it's the live on the red side, earth on the not red. I can unplug them as well actually. I wonder if they won't be 12 volt, they're 24 volts. 24, 240. So really all I'm doing now is just clearing some of this wiring out so I can get to the board. Worry about that one, I don't want to pull out the pin for the LED. A couple of them are tight. We've got some weird cabling going off, which makes no sense. I'll figure that out afterwards. What I'm going to do is, there's a random live cable there. It's probably the 12 volts from the Pandora box that's been used to power all the LEDs. I'm going to cut it but leave a bit of the red on here so I can later go, that went with that, if I need to. I'm pretty confident I don't need to. They can just get unplugged. That's a terrible earth there, look at that. Just wound on, not even soldered. So it appears someone had some skills. I'm going to cut that for now, because I don't want to risk pulling that off and damaging. The same goes for this one, because I don't want to damage the micro switch. Right, where are we at? So plug this one. The great thing about looms, that's what they call these when you've got a load of wires all bundled together. So once they're out of the way, you can see what's going on. The temptation is when you're making stuff just to have loads of wires running to them, but a bit of organisation when you're creating stuff makes maintenance a lot easier. Oh, come on. Again, I don't want to risk damaging that, so I'm just going to cut that one. Oh, that wouldn't even connect it properly. So what we've got now is, look at the state of that. I've tried to solder that up. Problem is you can't solder steel to steel very well. It's a common mistake people make. I've made it myself, that's what I know. You just can't do it. Right. Can I get that off without damaging that? Yes. I hope. Yeah, they've tried to do the same there. They've soldered that on badly. You just get the damaged stuff if you do things like that. So if you were to buy one of these kits, they you get a board with the holes drilled in and you decide where you're putting your switches. You're supposed to tighten them up like this. That's a good 3 finger turns too loose. And then nice clear buttons. Oh, here we go. So this is the button as it stands. the little legs come down, they push the micro switch down. That nice affirming click. It's always good. And then the LEDs are, it's powered either side of that. It should just click in there. Oh, they're just twisting. Oh, that's quite cool. Yeah, so they just click into the buttons. You can take them out. So if there was something wrong with them, you could replace one of them. And they've colour coded each side. So that's pretty damn good. I like that. Annoyingly, as said, where's it gone? I left it in there, that's the problem. Call this. What a mess. Is it in there? Or did I put it on the table? Put it on the table. Yeah, annoyingly, as said, these things will not fit on there. So this is what came with the kits. I think I'm going to switch the camera to the desk cam. Hold on. Because rather annoyingly, that's paid to what I thought I was doing today. This is the joy of fixing stuff. Ta-da! Let me turn off that one. You don't want to see what's going on the desk. Let me just clear a bit of space. I've got too much stuff lying around on here. Again, like I say in the past, I've foolishly not criticised people like Big Clive, but said, why haven't they got everything they need in front of them? You never know what you're going to do when you're doing this sort of stuff. Ball. Check that out. Okay, so some of these, like this one, they've soldered on the connector, which you can't see because it's not going to focus. Focus. It's not going to focus. Okay, forget trying to focus. So yeah, they've soldered on the peg as much as they can. But as I was just saying, you can't solder steel to steel very well. So I'm going to just pry the little feet apart. I hope that's good enough, because what I don't want to do is damage the LED. Oh, I don't bother with that sort of stuff, Alex. I used to. Like take meticulous pictures of things. Now I just wing it. At a certain age I just don't care. Come on. I'm going to just chop it up here. Exactly, you get to a certain level of confidence, you just do stuff. You don't necessarily stress about things, because you figure I can replace it afterwards or repair it. The only time I'm meticulous about when I'm doing stuff like this, so until recently I did quite a lot of door control stuff, where I'd be working on old systems that had been in place for a long while. And I'd take photos of all the wiring and stuff like that then, because you can guarantee on Friday when you want to go home, everything's gone wrong. And usually, you're on your Todd. Cool rug, I can tell you exactly what that premiere is going to be. That premiere is going to be amazing. because it's not just where are we? Yeah, the premiere that Cody's doing is not just Cody as well. You might have noticed that Sunshine's also got a promo, and I believe Mr. David Anderson Kirk himself has also got a promo due. And I know those promos are awesome. What's what on my desk? This thing. Arcade thing. Arcade thing. That's the highly technical term there. An arcade thing. It's the front of an arcade cabinet. So it's what I was working on last week. I bought it. It could have been a pile of junk. Fortunately, it turned out it was not junk. So I've actually saved myself about, I think in total it's probably going to cost me, without parts, I'm not going to count parts I already own, but yeah, without counting parts I already own, it's going to cost me about 100 quid for a main cabinet. Not main, sorry, main's just the term, isn't it, for emulator. So yeah, the goal is to get this thing up and working. After I've got the controls all rewired, again, unfortunately, all the controls have got a different connector to the one that I purchased, annoyingly. But if anything, that just demonstrates the quality of the equipment that's been put in this cabinet. I'm not going to say badly. Mainly, I'm not going to say badly because I live in a small town, and as I've discovered recently, when you go on the internet and on YouTube, you see people that you're in town with. There's a chap that sells Raspberry Pis to cash converters, and he actually sold the Raspberry Pis that I'm going to do a project with to cash converters. And in researching the project I wanted to do with the Raspberry Pis, the BBC micros. In researching the BBC micro and what projects you can do with them, I came across his YouTube. So I daren't say anything horrible about the person that made this, because they might be really cool. I might meet them one day, and maybe they're going to be absolutely fantastic, and we'll drink lots of beers and talk about things, because that can happen. It's like a bros fairy tale. Right. You seem to be relatively. Look at the state of that. Here's what you end up with when you try soldering steel. It's just too. Come on, focus. It's just too. The steel's too cold. It doesn't stick to it. So the melting temperature, the solder's a lot higher, and it just runs everywhere. And then each one of these connectors has now got a smacking of solder on, which cut off. It's probably safer to use a soldering iron to heat it up and just wick it off, but you can shave lead solder off. That one's sorted. And again, the buttons are loose, so they need to be relatively tight. Otherwise, oh bloody hell, it's the time already. Right, I've kind of got a time stop on today's, annoyingly. Not annoyingly, for the reasons that aren't annoying, I'll tell you why in a second. As I mentioned, it is Star Wars Day, but it is also my daughter and my daughter-in-law, future daughter-in-law's birthday as well. And we're all meeting in the local, put my teeth in. We're all meeting in the local park for some fish and chips, and the kids are playing as well, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm meeting them at 5, so I do have only 11 or so minutes. Right, Sacred Main, I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced. jobs and things are usually posted on the Twitter. So keep an eye out on the official Twitter. It's also worth keeping an eye out on David Newbelt's tweets as well, because he also posts about job opportunities. I will say in that area we're probably well covered, you know, because we've got Stunshine, we've got Cody, we've got David Anderson Kirk, and we've got Jaguar Jen all working on them, all collaborating, doing some amazing stuff. Oh, hey, just as we mentioned you. That's funny. Well, it's not that funny because I just told you I was streaming, but we've got some, you're cooler than that. He's just above you. He just said hello. That's embarrassing. But yeah, keep your eye out on the official Twitter. And you know what, it's probably never going to hurt anyone posting stuff that they do publicly so other people can see. So that's definitely worth doing. I was just explaining, David, I've only really got another 10 minutes because I'm going to meet my daughter in the park, for it is her birthday today. And the kids are there as well, so that'll be nice. Busy days on Thursdays, especially when they're supposed to be Wednesdays. As most of you know, I'm trying to stream on Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 3 o'clock UK time. It's not really been working, and a lot of that has been because stuff that I'm ordering that doesn't even fit when it comes arrives on Wednesdays, so I don't have the equipment to do the stream on the days I wanted to do it. So it messes my days up a little bit, because Wednesdays are usually my Gorilla Tag Light days, as I like to call them. And that means that, not that I'm not at work, because if anyone's on the Discord, you always see that around. I can't seem to get off that. But it means that I don't tend to get involved in the more formal side of the work. So today, after all this stuff, so I'm meeting the daughter at 5, but then I've got loads of meetings. And I find the chill that I get from doing this pretty much vanishes, even though the meetings are cool. It's a great company to work for. Great games house. Super laid back. But hard working. Oh, I'll have to chat about that with you properly, David. Get you into the UK in a few beers. Try out some of those young people clubs. So what I'm currently doing, I'm slightly off camera doing a lot of this because I'm guaranteed to stab myself in the finger because that's what I do. I'm just cleaning off the connections. Here's me thinking it's a short stream. I've been doing it for 43 minutes. Ouch. As I said, I'll probably stab myself. Also, if I do it over here, I'm going to get one of my keyboards. Keyboard. Oh, speaking of keyboards, let me show you the cool toy. Well, I say toy. Zoom out. Check this out. For anyone that's nerdy, the Raspberry Pi 400. It's incredibly hard to get hold of the Pis these days. If anyone doesn't know about the Pis, this was a company that decided that UK needed to re-spark the programmers. There's a lot of innovation when it comes to computers come out of the UK. So they created the Raspberry Pi, is version 3, and it was like a £20 computer, and at the time that cost a fortune, so they could give them to kids in schools to learn how to program using Python. You can run Linux distros on it, so you can do cool stuff with it. The Pi 4s, which are really hard to get hold of, are pretty hard to get hold of. But the Pi 400 keyboard was in my local cash converters. They do like me there. I spent quite a bit of money there. And that's going to give me a lot of options to do some cool stuff. So expect to see this in a future project. I've only mentioned that because I said keyboards. The Pi is actually inside the keyboard. It's that small. And the Pi 400 is a homage to the Amiga 500, which I was a massive fan of. Proper nerdy nerd on that one. You'll probably like it, David. It's when I first discovered electronic music. A mate of mine used Octamed. Basically, at the same time Cubase was out for the ST, Octamed was out for the Amiga, and he used to do a load of sequencing, and he was a bit of a bedroom DJ as well, so he did some cool stuff. It sparked my love of it. It's one of my closest friends in the world, and every time I hear a good piano house track I think of him. And that was computers that brought that together. Up till then, I barely paid any attention to music, and it was always the stuff my dad and my mum listened to. So a lot of mod stuff, as in mods and rockers, and a lot of rocker stuff because my dad was a rocker and my mother was a mod. Like a true Romeo and Juliet story it was. There she was in a duffel coat, and there he was in a leather jacket. Right, we're about clean. Again, I'm going to have to buy some more stuff. I'm hoping to keep this build to under £100. I'm pretty much bang on 100 quid's worth of stuff at the moment. So 79 for the cabinet. Was it 79? Yeah, 79 for the cabinet. As it said, doesn't work. That was literally, you know, the stops after several games. That was just ventilation. There's no ventilation in this cabinet. I've spent 20 quid on these. So 2 of these. I've got everything else I think I need. So what I do need to do now though is I need to buy some crimps and a crimper. So I can crimp on things that are going to fit on there. And you get one each with these. And each one fits in here. Oh yeah, we're going to have a blast, David. And that would fit on those. Each one has its own dedicated earth and live. Just cough my guts up, hold on. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, get the crimp on. Let's have a look on Amazon and see what I can find. Close all the confidential stuff. You guys aren't getting to see that, sorry guys. I know you probably want to, but you cannot. Sorry. Seem to be suffering a bit with the start of hay fever. One needs a crimper and the crimps. 24 quid. Let me look up the screen so you can see it. Yeah, so this is what I need. I need a box of, not those things. So they're not massively expensive on their own. But I need to crimp. Ooh, actually, do I have? I'm not sure if I've got one of these at home. I'm going to have to check. I'm not going to order it until I know for sure. If I do, I know where it is. 21 quid with a lot. That pushes me over the 100 quid mark. It'd be nice to keep it below 100. As it stands, it's going to be 110 quid if I buy a box of crimps. I don't really want to buy a cheap one because then it'd be used once on one project and never use again. I'd suffer with a hay fever. I think I've got away with it really well this year. Hey, look. Wonder where you've been. Yeah, but it seems to have just started. But normally I'm suffering probably about the beginning of April. So I have done well this year. I think I'm looking at 20 quid for a crimp pot and a kit, the different sort. I've got one of them. But I'm pretty sure I've got one of these. I'm going to check before I order anything. So all being well, next week I might do a bit of off-camera. I might do a bit of off-camera prep on it, purely for the fact if I keep hitting hurdles, like I buy a bit of kit and it doesn't fit, it knocks me back a week. I don't really want to spend 10 weeks making this thing. My urge is to fix it now. So I'm actually fighting the urge that I have to just crack on with it. I keep looking at it all week thinking, no, save it for the stream. So this is a sacrifice I make for you guys. A sacrifice doing this for the stream. As I'm looking at the pies on my desk, thinking, oh, I could just make that. And I have to look at a pie and think, ooh, that'd be nice. But that's usually when it's a steak pie. But yeah, I mean, is that all connected? Yeah, so it all connects to the Pandora that way. Each one of those thin wires is a switch, and then it's just wired to a loom to go to each one of the switches. Yeah, so part of me wants to just crack on, but I'm not going to. I have no idea what that is. I think that's the on-off switch. But yeah, I do need to do a bit of prep, I think, before the next one. I'm not letting you in the office, Anthony. You're going in the room next door. What I do need to do then is I need to check my crimps that I've got it. Order the crimp set. I will probably, if it arrives, I will just pre-crimp these. I'm not doing that on screen. And I'll get them all wired up. And as said, I want, I would like, zoom. So I would like to figure out where I'm going to put these. Because there's enough space there for one. But there's enough space under each of these for the board as well. So I want the whole thing on here, everything screwed down, only a couple of wires coming off for the side buttons and the player 1, player 2 buttons. But I want it all neat on here, so I may do that off camera. But again, all I'll do there is I'll screw that down, run each wire to there. If I'm crimping, I can make them shorter as well, so I don't end up with a big mass bundle of cable. So yeah, I think I'll do that off camera. So this really has just been a conversation about what I'm going to do then, instead of me doing all the work. But the goal was today, at the end of this stream, to have all this wired up to 2 USB boards. At the end of it as well, I think I'm going to surprise you all by what decals I'm going to do. I'm going to do a custom decal. And that would be cool. I've got to find someone to print it. So there's me saying I'm going to keep it to under 100 quid. It's probably going to be about 40, 50 just to get the decals printed. But if it ends up less than £200, see what happens. You start with 100. And you start with 100 and it becomes 200 before you know it, and you've excused yourself for why it should be. I'm not sure what a Moog matriarch is. I'm going to have to do a quick search on that, David. Oh, very nice. That looks expensive to take apart, David. Look, all the dials. Oh, all the buttons. Sorry, just turn that on. So this is what David's on about. Moog matriarch. Loads of buttons. Twisty dialing knobs. I'll be there for hours, just making noises. When I was at school, we had an electric keyboard. It had a pitch shift on, a little dial, and I must have just spent hours just pressing the button and go woo, woo, woo. I'm easily pleased, very, very easily pleased. Right. Anyway, it has gone 5 o'clock. I have a play date with the grandkids and my daughter's birthday chippies. So I am going to love you all and leave you, I'm afraid. A bit of ASMR there, drinking a can underneath the microphone. As Lewis Capaldi said, wee jobby. Anyway, I am leaving now. I'm particularly leaving you, Cool Rug. The rest of you I'm going to miss. Right, see you all, guys. I'll chat to you offline, online, but off the chat. Later on, David. Right. I'm just going to go and eat a cabinet now, cool. Right, bye all.